In this video I'm going to be running this 35mm print of Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country to see if I can get the sound close to what I heard on the 21st of February 1992 at the Empire, Leicester Square. This was a bit of a game-changing screening for me. I was introduced to the Empire's THX sound system and I had to know more about THX. I wanted it at home, and so Keith, Wilton and I went halves on this 35mm print, ostensibly to see if I could get close to how I heard it at the Empire, but given that was a 70mm blow-up 6-track magnetic sound and this is a 35mm with spectral recording matrix 4-track stereo sound, I don't think it's ever quite going to match up, but how close can I get? I'll get this laced up and come back and let you know how I get on. With this video, I've tried to capture what it's like to sit in here and watch and listen to a 35mm film print, and so I've left the volume up as loud as I'm listening to the film in places, which does make it hard to discern what I'm saying, so please bear with me in those sequences if you struggle a bit. In other places, I've had to play with projector noise to exacerbate it a little because copyrights, music in particular, just have to disguise that a little. And the final thing is, we won't be showing an extract of this at the upcoming British Film Collectors Convention at the Oxted Barn Theatre on Saturday 30th of May. People have asked me if we will, but maybe in future we'll get permission to show an extract, and that will be the opening of Reel 1, if that does come to fruition. Well, here we go, opening title music. Sensational score by Cliff Idleman, and well, it just sets the scene for the rest of the film. How good is this Praxis moon explosion going to be? Well, it's pretty close. That opening score really does set the scene. That Praxis moon explosion. Here we are on the bridge of the Excelsior, and I'm almost taken back to the Empire in 1992. It's not as good, it never was going to be, but I think this is as close as I've come. Fantastic soundtrack. Yep, I'm on that ship, I'm back in that seat of the Empire. It's shaking, this room is shaking, this is the effect I wanted to achieve. As I said in a previous video, when I looked at the Blu-ray I was sent of The Matrix with the original DTS theatrical audio, I trailered what was coming with this Star Trek VI video, and I did say it was a knackered print, but Reel 1 is not as bad as I remembered it. The rest of the film, not quite so good I don't think, but the emulsion scratch is not quite what I remembered, thankfully, and the sound, now that Ben Wales and Noel Pratt have got this Dolby sound entirely sorted out for me here, absolutely sensational, and this really set me on the path to finding out what had gone wrong with home video discs in more recent years. And as Andy Summers pointed out, and I mentioned it in a previous video, the near-field mix was brought in for home video in 1998 by Disney in response to early complaints of DVDs where the dialogue was too low compared to the rest of the soundtrack. So here we are, back to Star Trek VI, original theatrical audio, and it is sensational.
Federation Special. Morning. the dismantling of our space stations and star bases along the neutral zone, an end to almost 70 years of unremitting hostility.
Coming towards the end of Reel 1 now. I only just realised how good the sound is when the Enterprise leaves space dock. The bass in that is quite incredible. I know I've got a THX KEF TDM subwoofer on in here, which thumps me in the back, but I've also got a smaller subwoofer down the front, which I've got in especially for films like Star Trek 6. But the theatrical soundtrack, just so superior to what I've heard since. Now, I really must take another listen to the VHS tape, because I suspect that is going to sound almost identical to this. I just never took it as seriously as I perhaps should have done. I always thought I should have got the Laserdisc. But VHS, back then, that came with original theatrical audio. So, should never write VHS off entirely, because I think we all underestimated the sound on those old tapes. Anyway, coming to the end of Reel 1, as I said, so we're doing a real change to Reel 2 in a few minutes. And it only sounds this loud because the camera is picking up every nuance through the Rode microphone. So when I'm sat there around there in the auditorium, you can barely hear the projector above the volume of an action film or a great science fiction film with plenty of action like Star Trek 6.
I am Chancellor Borkar.
Chancellor, we've been ordered to escort you from Federation space to your meeting on Earth.
Fantastic soundtrack just continues into Reel 2, and as you remember it being this good, I suppose it's that long since I heard it like this, but it's just a shame the print isn't in better condition. But if it had been, Keith and I wouldn't have got hold of it. It wouldn't have been withdrawn from the theatrical exhibition.
I'm waiting for your answer, sir.
This president is not above the law.
Reel 3, ready to go?
We are experiencing technical malfunction on the backup systems. Excellent. I mean, today.
We've arrived at the core sequence. The Gavilan block comes towards the end of this. He just cracked it right at the start, but it's the ending I remember, how that reverberated around that whole massive auditorium. Oh, that was a memory and a half. And here it is, as close as I'm ever going to hear it, and really see it ever again, I expect.
The rest of your natural lives.
feel the power of that. Now, it's not going to be as good as I heard it in that massive auditorium that I keep mentioning at the Empire, but it is pretty close, and it's just wonderful to be able to get that same sound effect all these years later. It's only taken 34 years and a bit, but well worth the wait.
Beneath us. If there were a ship beneath us, it may not be that either.
So, halfway through Star Trek 6, 3 more reels to go. We'll have a bit of a break and I'll get back into it, and at the end of the whole process I'll have 2 big reels to rewind onto individual spools. This film has been going through so quickly, even though I'm changing reels about every 20 minutes or so. I think that's an indication of how special it is to me to have one of my favourite films on 35mm. And I know I've got Alien and a few others, but even though this print of Star Trek 6 is so badly damaged, or it got so badly damaged during its theatrical days, it's still something special. I think I've got over the disappointment of years ago, almost 30 years ago, when we first got this print. I've now got 2 of these big reels to rewind, so all 6 of the spools are on 2 of these. It's about a 7,000 foot spool, but there's about 6,000 feet on each. So I've got some work to do, but that's actually part of the fun of film. There's so much more to it than just sticking something in a drive and hitting play. Not everyone will agree with that. They won't understand how you can watch a film in pieces, but that's part and parcel of being a film collector. It's all part of the magic of the movies. Maybe next time I watch Star Trek 6, I will actually splice it together on 2 big reels, so I can watch about an hour at a time without a break, or just one break in the middle. Maybe that'll make it even more special next time around. But I have a feeling I'm going to like dipping into odd reels of this film, and therefore it will be better to keep it in its 2,000 foot film cans. What a great film though, the dark nature of it, the music, everything. I can remember why I love this film more than ever now, and for me it's the best of the Star Trek films. I know a lot of people now are enamoured with the first one, the motion picture, but I can remember in 1979 when that was in cinemas, it wasn't very highly regarded at all. Even I found it a little bit dull. I was younger then, I suppose, but I've grown to like it over the years and appreciate it. But Star Trek 2, 4 and 6 were the best for me, and that's how it's gone down. I can remember they used to say the even numbers are the best, and then of the Next Generation, First Contact came along and people liked that one the best. So there was something about the even numbers back when the Star Trek films were being made in some volume or every 2 or 3 years. But this is my favourite. Right, I think that brings me to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, perhaps subscribe if you haven't already. And until the next video, bye bye for now.